Greetings. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about using tarot as one way of doing shadow work or preparing for shadow work. Okay, a lot of people use a lot of different things, and I realize I'm still a little ahead of Salwin, and I had said before that I really think you should get through Mabon before you rush into Salmon, at least as far as doing shadow work is concerned. But the reason I'm doing this a little ahead of time is in case you don't have a good deck to use for tarot, doing shadow work with tarot, this will give you an opportunity to do so. Some people, especially people new to tarot, maybe only have one or two decks. And the reason I really attach myself, I'm talking today about the deck, the Deviant Moon, because this is one that I really want to use. This is one that really works for me for doing shadow work, and I'm going to explain to you something that I did with it. But I found that out by accident because I watched Simon over at the Hermit's Cave a while ago. I don't know how long ago it was, a year or so ago. He shared this deck with us, and I was kind of fascinated by the artwork, and so I bought the deck, or had it on my wish list, I think. I think that's it. I had it on my wish list for Yule last year, and I was given the deck, and I got real excited, and come the spring, I decided to use the deck as my deck of the month through my bullet journal, and I was having a hell of a time reading with the deck, because the deck, I found it should be in shadow. I found that it felt to me like it was in shadow. I'm not sure if it, I think it's pretty obvious that it's meant to be in shadow, but I don't want to speak for the author, because I'm not sure. I don't think they meant it to be used just as shadow. I think it's really supposed to be a legitimate deck, and for most people, maybe it is. But for me, it just was a little, I won't say that it was necessarily dark. It's kind of dark, but not in a way that I find it endearingly dark. Not scary dark, not too dark, but still I really find a lot of passion and kind of love in some of the cards. Some are maybe worse than others, but I find some of them actually kind of beautiful. Trying to find one that I think maybe is kind of beautiful to me. At first glance it might be maybe not the greatest card. Now that I'm looking, I'm having a little bit of trouble with one of the ones I was thinking of. But I just find the art kind of fascinating. Oh, maybe there is. Maybe because I'm looking at a major hand. Oh, that's what I want to say. It kind of went away there for a minute. Sorry. I tried to use it. I was remembering when I did use this deck last spring. I had said that it just felt kind of dark to me. It felt like I was not only in shadow all the time, but also I had the experience where every card I pulled pretty much for my daily draw for a while there was either something that had already been through, like it was reading a history for me rather than my present day, or maybe even what's coming up for me in the immediate future. It was reading my past, like I was carrying that really heavy into the deck. Or secondly, it was reading major cards. Just major arcana cards, left and right. And I do have that experience with other decks sometimes, but I couldn't pull a minor arcana if I had to out of this deck. It was a very intense deck. I resonated with the deck in a very strongly. It just had like a hold on me for some reason. So I very happily put the deck away at the end of 2 months. I gave it 2 months. And I haven't had it out since. I've been going through some other decks. But I find it beautiful what I'm going to do now. I'm coming up into doing some shadow work. Now, after Samhain, I'm going to get into doing shadow. That's when I do it. I like it in the dark of the year. After, you know, right now we're getting darker because the equinox has passed. So our length of days, daylight is shorter each day. The amount of darkness is bigger and bigger. But after Samhain, we see that in a pretty intense way. We see it kind of dark. Because also after Samhain, we're going to go into standard time. We're going to go out of daylight savings time into standard time. And it's going to get dark really early. So we're going to really be in darkness. So that's when I do my shadow work, okay? And now I'm really anxious to, because I know this deck really works for me in that way. It might work for you, but I am not going to tell you to go buy a deck. I would not tell you to go buy this deck because this deck some people do not like. And I will tell you, I mentioned in the last video that I had an event here. I keep saying an event. I'm being very cryptic because I don't really want to give away what I did. I will soon, but it's for my book project that's coming up next year. It's one of the events that I'm having coming up to my project. And as one of the activities of this event, we did some work with this deck. And right away, I had a divided room. Some people really liked the deck, some people did not like it at all. And that's really typical of this deck. You usually love it or you don't love it. So I would not tell you to go buy it. It might not be your thing. But I will tell you, for this exercise, I would like you to use a deck that you can see shadow in, that you can actually see shadow. Now, you can see shadow in anything. You know, in a Rider-Waite deck, we can pull out a card and we can see shadow. I'm not sure. I'm trying to look up here because I don't have my deck in front of me. But you'll see what I mean when I get into the cards, what I mean. We always interpret cards in a certain way. Some of us interpret cards always the same way. I do not always, but we do have a general. Generally, this card means blah, blah, blah. There's all these other things that can mean as well, right? We see that all the time. Sometimes it can mean this, sometimes it can mean this. How it relates to other cards in the spread will affect the meaning as well. But you know what I mean when I say generally. The Three of Swords generally means some kind of jealousy or heartbreak or sadness or disappointment. You know, it's not a happy card, right? It's not a happy card. But when we see it in, like, the Wildwood Tarot, we've talked about this how many times before, there's hope in the card because the blood that's dripping down from the wounds in the wooden heart that's hanging on the tree is feeding the roots of the tree. So it's going to come, there's going to be some growth that comes out of the disappointment. So that's a good thing coming out. So just like every card I say, there's some darkness and there's some light. I think it's just about every card. Some cards have more dark than light. So if that's the case, you might want a deck like that. But the most important thing I find for this kind of exercise we're doing is I would like you to have a deck that has pretty detailed illustrations. You know the kind of deck I mean, where every time maybe that you bring out the deck and you shuffle and you put it out, you've seen something new in the card that you never saw before. I still see that in the Rider-Waite a lot from time to time. I'll know, especially different versions of the Rider-Waite. You might say, well, look at that. I never noticed. Like, what could it be? Like maybe, oh, I've noticed before, I've done this in some of my videos before, where in one version of a deck, what is the card? The Eight of Cups, maybe? Not sure. Well, anyway, I don't want to I don't want to confuse anybody because I haven't looked at the right away for so long. This year, pretty much hardly at all. So I'm really kind of not sure. But now I have to look. I have to look. But anyway, you can see a card in a certain way for years and years maybe, and then all of a sudden you look at a card, or you look at a different variation of the card, and all of a sudden you see something. Well, you say, well, I haven't seen that before. Where'd that come from? That's the kind of deck that I wish you could use for this kind of exercise, because we don't want to look at, it's not going to do you any good to try to work with meanings that you've been looking at for years and years. No, it's not the Eight of Cups. It's not the Eight of Cups. Maybe it's the... Let's see. Oh, it's there. Every time I'm looking through a deck, I'm finding the card I want is at the bottom. You know. Oh, it's not cups at all. It's swords. Well, that was a dumb thing. I don't know why I was looking for swords. But this is what I'm talking about. The Six of Swords. It's about breaking free and going away. Okay. And it's about what you're going to take with you, whatever, and what you're going to lay behind, perhaps. But in this version of the card, they should their head down. And in another card that another deck I was using, I can't think of what it is. Her head is up and she's looking to where she's going. Instead of trying to forget where she's coming from, and I just want to get away, and I don't really care where I'm going as long as I'm getting away from here. The version is she's seeing front, she's looking where she's going. That's what I mean by cards that read differently, right? Well, with this one for shadow, you got to see the difference. You have to see something that is a little different than you're used to seeing for it to work. So anyway, excuse me, I'm going to have a little sip of wine. The exercise that we did, I'm trying to cut to the chase. I'm trying to make this short, but I'm talking too much. What I did for the exercise this last weekend was I wanted everybody to take one card. First of all, I took out all the major arcana cards from the deck because I don't think major arcana cards are helpful when it is doing shadow work. If you're just generally trying to, it might be. But major arcana cards to me are big stuff. They represent big life lessons. Really big life lessons. So in themselves, they're a big message in themselves. Shadow work to me is about the everyday stuff, the habits, things we do in a habit, things we do, anxieties, things that bother us, things that frighten us, things that irritate us, little things that we pick at about ourselves or our relationships or whatever. It's everyday little bitty things. It's minor arcana. So I took out the court cards as well, because the court cards have to do, a lot of people read them as people. I did not want people involved in your shadow work, in my shadow work, or anybody's in the room. Because even if you don't read them as people, there are traits of a person. And it would be very easy if I'm talking about, if I'm having trouble relating to people. Why do I always have trouble relating to people, especially my children? Oh, this is a make-believe thing. I don't really have trouble relating to my children. But what if I was saying, why do my children and I always seem to get into stuff? And I pulled the Queen of Swords. What would happen? I would say, oh, for heaven's sakes, there I am. No wonder. All I do is think about, I'm cold. I might have just turned to I'm not warm and fuzzy with them. I'm always thinking about, what's right and what's wrong and, what the reason behind behaviors is, instead of just being a mother. Okay? I don't want that in the shadow work. We want to get rid of that. So I got rid of the major arcana. I got rid of the core cards, and I got rid of the aces, because aces, no matter how you look at them, are still the beginning of something. There still is, you know, the very beginning of something that's going to come. We're not talking about the beginnings here. We're talking about something we're into in the thick of it. Okay? So, therefore, I took minor arcana cards, choose for 10, no core cards, and I ended up with 36 cards, which is a nice amount to work for. And I had everybody shuffle the cards and pick a card, and they would get one card. And they were to look at the card and see, how does this relate to maybe something personally about me that I might want to work on? It was a cooch, and I had people share, you know, with each other, like maybe if they didn't know about, I didn't need to know, excuse me, they did not need to know about tarot. As a matter of fact, it is helpful if you don't know a lot about tarot, because they were just going on clues from what they saw in the picture. And it was a really fun exercise. And so they just maybe discussed it a little bit. And because it was little things, people weren't so shy to talk about it. If it was a big thing, like the Queen of like the Queen of Swords might be, that kind of a relationship issue, that's kind of a big deal about what kind of a mother you are. But this is a little thing. It's a little thing. Why do I always get anxious when I'm in, you know, at work, when meetings at work? Why do I get so anxious? I'm so confident when I'm doing my job. But when I come into a meeting, oh, I'm so anxious and I say the wrong thing and I have trouble, you know. I don't think people respect me because I'm always saying the wrong thing. That's a small thing. That doesn't have an effect on that doesn't mean that you're not a good worker or not intelligent. That's a little thing, okay? That's what I mean by shadow work, looking at those kind of things. Well, I also thought of it today because I'm using this deck now as my deck for the month of October. And my daily card today, I was talking about this with my husband, it turned out to be the 7 of Vessels, or the 7 of Cups. Perhaps you can see this. Now in the Rider-Waite deck, this is the same card. If you're looking at a Rider-Waite deck or you're kind of new to tarot, he's looking at up all of these cups, and every cup has something different to offer. Different kind of, it could be choices. Some people read that as choices, like you have so many choices. Other people might read it as distractions, like I don't know which, like if I had to choose, I don't know, they're distracting me. And other people might read it and saying, you know, there's a lot of things being offered to you. Some things are real, or you think you have all these options, but some of these are real, some things are fantasies. Or you think you want all these things, that these will complete you, but some are really real things, some are fantasies. If you look at the Rider-Waite version, some are jewels and some are dragons, right? There's a lot of different things. Here in this card, it's a little different take on that same card. Okay? It's not about being overwhelmed with how many choices you have. This is about somebody, an artist, drawing a picture, and the person, the model, is behind the canvas. He can't see the person behind the canvas. Okay? But he's drawing away. Does he see? Is he seeing with his mind's eye or his physical eye? Is he really seeing what's in front of him, or is he seeing what he imagines what's in front of him? Is he seeing something real, or is he seeing something that's not real? If I were going to take this as shadow, I would say, is my perceived perception of what equal to what I'm actually seeing. I said to my husband, this is kind of, for me in shadow, I might take this as, and well, I think he brought that up. I think that he brought this up to me. Then in the past, I have a tendency to, before things happen, to see the way I want them to be. Right? Like I'm going to this this camping event we're in charge of the entire arts and sciences, 3 days of arts and sciences. We're organizing probably close to 100 classes and like 60 teachers and all the stuff that's going on. And I have in my mind, and there's performances, there's all kind of stuff going on. And in my mind, I have an idea of what it's going to look like, what it's going to be like, what kind of experience it's going to be like, how it's going to go. And I know very well when I get there, I'm going to be disappointed because it's not going to go that way. Things never go that way. People won't show up. People will cancel, whatever. Something will happen. The pavilions will be set up in the wrong place. Something will happen that is going to shake me a little bit. This is my shadow. I need to say, what? Why do I do that all the time? Why do I have to see it? Why do I try to have the perception of what it really is equal what was in my head? Why can't I just enjoy it for what it is? That's a shadow work for me. That's something I would do. Okay. Here, and I just pulled out a couple. I have a couple more that I can show you how you could do it. You pull this card. This is the 10 of Pentacles, which is really normally a really good card. It's about abundance and things in a regular deck. In the Deviant Moon deck, I don't know if you can see it. Are you the people playing the games? Look at the poor schmuck underneath the table, holding up the table. What's that all about? They're having fun at the expense of somebody else, aren't they? That would be a shadow side. That would be a shadow side of this. But is he there because he's being used to hold up the board, or is he choosing to be there? Is he choosing to be there? He's playing with a doll or something. Is that his choice, or is it theirs? These are questions that you want to ask. Here we have the 3 of Vessels again, the 3 of Cups. And this card is we have people having a good old time and they're having so much fun and it's fantastic. It's a good card. The 3 of Cups is a really good card. It's all about good fortune and happiness, and you're celebrating something. Even though I've told you before, this card to me is the 3 rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub. But when I look at their tub, it's not a tub at all. They're inside a fish. They're inside a fish with very sharp teeth inside his mouth. So they're having so much fun and playing and having a celebration. But are they really paying attention? So are they so caught up in that that they don't see where they really are? The reality is skewed, right? It doesn't look good for them being inside a fish's mouth like that. Okay, that's shadow work. This is one, I just saw this a while ago. This is the one I was talking about, the 3 of Swords, which in the Rider-Waite is jealousy and loss and those kind of things. But look at this. Look at this card. This card, I don't know if you can see. It's maybe too close. But while she's looking out and she has a tear in her eye, all of the swords are coming from her back to her front, coming through the back. It's like she's been run through the back. Like people are always stabbing me in the back is kind of what she's saying. And she's even pointing to it. She's even pointing. She's got her hand on the sword like, look, always being stabbed through the back. But is she doing anything about it? Her hand is up here. Like, oh, darn, I've been stabbed through the back again. Like she's doing nothing to solve it. Nothing to stop it. Even though she's not on 2 legs, she's on 3 legs. She's on steady legs. She should be ready to be firm and stand against whatever, to keep her ground, whatever it is throwing her off, right? This is the funny card that I showed you the last time. Maybe you can see it better. This is the poor hand-packed man, and it depends on if you're the woman or the man in the card. The woman is, why do I always have to repeat myself? It's because he doesn't listen. And the man is like not listening because she's always repeating herself. Always, she's going to say it again. She won't shut up. She keeps going on and on about it. And my husband pointed out to me that this is like, why don't I listen? We talk about this. This is kind of the thing in our marriage. After being married as many years as we have, this is kind of the thing. That husbands don't get any better at listening. Why? Why doesn't he listen? Is that how he gets attention from me, by not listening, that I have to say it again? Is that how he keeps his power? Is it a game? Is he turning it into a game? Is it that I expect him not to listen? You see my point? What is the purpose of it? That's the shadow, depending on who you are. Are you the man or are you the woman in this card? I love this one. I do want to say, I know I have a couple more, but I love this one so much. This is the Three of Pentacles. And the Three of Pentacles usually is talking about achievements, that you're achieving a lot. And here they are achieving a lot, but what are they doing? They're worried more about other people. I'm working on you. This guy's carving on this guy's butt. This guy's painting this guy's face. And this guy's writing on this guy's head. They're not doing anything working on themselves at all. They're not doing anything they're working on other people or at the expense of other people. Are they using other people to acquire what they are going to achieve? Is that the way you get where you're going? By using other people? That is a shadow. You see, that is doing something in the shadow. And one more. I'm just going to do one more because I don't want to talk too much. This one we have the Ten of Swords. And we know this. We all know this. The poor schmuck lying on the beach. Swords plunged in his back, dead as a doornail. But his face is turned. The last thing he sees in his death as he's dying is the sun coming up in the horizon. There's going to be a new day. This is the end of something, but it's also the beginning of something else in a normal deck. In this deck, I don't know what we see here, but how would this be in shadow? How would we read this in shadow? I noticed one thing about this card. I just noticed it today. Because, again, I said I haven't had this deck in a while. He's in a magician's box. You know, that's what my husband pointed out. I didn't even kind of realize that before, but that's where he is. He's in a box where you know, the guy's laying there and the swords all come through. In this case, it hasn't worked out so well because they've kind of, some of them are around him and just trapped him, but he's got a wound, one coming through his foot, one coming through his arm, one coming through his hand, and one coming straight through his heart. That can't be that good. Can't be that good. But the one thing I want to say about this is two things. There's none coming from the front. He sees very clearly to the front. He's not only not looking at the front, he's not looking to where the danger lies. He's looking away from where the danger lies. He should be flipped around. Or he sees him coming. He might have a chance to do something about it. Or he might escape this way if there was room. But also, look at the position of his hand. He's doing this, which is the position of, wait, stop, trying to block the shots, trying to protect himself. But where is he protecting himself from? Again, the sword is coming through his hand from the back. I find that very curious. So this is not only somebody who's trapped, and somebody who's, you know, what do I want to say? Well, pain, in a painful situation and not, you know, it's ending. But he's not facing the pain. Is he facing that painful situation that might be ending? He's facing away from it. He's really not looking at it for what it was. He's really not looking at it for what the experience can give him. Okay? This is why we do shadow work, because it's the little things, our little reactions to things that tell us so much and help us so much going forward. Okay? I love it. And I think the Deviant Moon is going to be really good for me. Again, I don't know how good it is for you, but take these last couple weeks before we get into Samhain and go through your cards. Some of you have millions of decks. Go through your cards and find a deck that you can use to do your shadow work. And I think you'll be happy you did. It's really fun to do. And if you're in the mood shopping for a deck, you still have time to get the Deviant Moon. It is available on Amazon. But don't have any. Seriously, I do not want to take. I don't want any blame if somebody buys Deviant Moon and doesn't like it. Just like I'm saying, I like the pictures. I didn't like it as a regular deck. So I was, since I don't have a whole lot of decks, I was kind of like, why did I buy it? But now that I see that it's what it's for, what it's really good for, oh, I love it. I'm very passionate for it now. It's working really well. Okay? So anyway, get yourself into balance. If you didn't see my last video, go back and see how you can get yourself into balance before you do the shadow work. You don't want to do this kind of examination on yourself if you're not in balance. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Don't rush out too fast. From Mabon into Samhain. Take your time. You got time. Right? That's all I want to say. Sorry if this was too long. Thank you for watching. I am the Good Wife, Rebecca, and as always, I wish you blessings.